is you're not giving them the real risk profile of what they're spending their time doing.
Okay, Kevin, let's talk about the truth. Let's talk about the risk profile.
That's the truth.
Kevin, you're an idiot.
Somebody has to tell the truth. Thank goodness I'm here, Mark. Thank goodness I'm here.
Hey friends, Dawson here. I have watched 14 hours of Mark Cuban so that way you don't have to. Now, you know him from Shark Tank or maybe Twitter or some other business endeavor, but today we are covering his personality type as confirmed by the Objective Personality System. Now, Mark Cuban has been typed per MBTI consensus as an ESTP, or maybe even a toss-up with an ENTJ. But instead of leaving it to the populace to vote on someone they haven't watched but 20 seconds of, Objective Personality takes the time to do the cross-checks and to search for the reoccurring patterns in someone's life to better understand what problems they have been causing and predict what problems they'll be running into down the road. So today we're going to be breaking down Mark Cuban's type coin by coin to discover the default wiring causing his reoccurring patterns. So disclaimer right off the bat, Mark Cuban is not an easy person to type. I would say the difficulty level on this one is quite high, meaning that you're going to be spending a lot of time gathering, and even then it's going to be hard to stake a claim on what's what. Like if I were going in blind to type Mark Cuban, I might be able to catch a few coins, but very quickly I'm going to have to jump out. So the goal for Mark Cuban is just to download him. I am not here to get it right or wrong, but I am here to understand more about what this type is doing. So why is Mark Cuban so difficult to type? Well, I noticed that I'm running into a similar problem that I did with JV Dance, in that you expect the guy to be super imbalanced, like his buddy Trump, but turns out the guy has had a lot of trauma, he has growth mindset, he is mature and balanced, he's a politician, so he's not revealing all of his cards. He's a seriously difficult person to type. He's just not going to be revealing a whole lot. So whenever I was going to type JV Dance, I was like, you can put me down for extrovert, consume and blast in the middle, infodom. You can put me down for decider with all the people talk, and then FE somewhere with all the culture talk. But after that, I had to run away. I cannot prove anything else. Okay, so similarly, Mark Cuban has been in business for 50 plus years. I mean, the guy has seen everything. He has been challenged, he has grown, he's not knocking anything over. He is relatively balanced, and it's hard to catch the guy off guard. So, okay, the guy's in business. ESTP, ENTJ. Okay, but what does that mean? What parts do you need to succeed in business? Well, you need ST, what actually works in the sensor. You need a working product. You need SF, what is valuable in the sensor, so that way it's actually marketable and people like what you're selling. You need NT, hey, what are the abstract systems in these technology pieces? Where is this headed in the future? What patterns work? Then you need NF, a vision. Hey, what matters in the future? You're creating this shared meaning or a brand that the culture can connect with. So if you've been in business for 50 years, there's a good chance you're going to be well-rounded in all of those areas. Because I'm going to bet that early on, you got kicked to the curb and took a serious hit for neglecting one of those areas. And in business, you either adapt or you die. You learn the lesson quick or you're not sticking around. So for Mark Cuban, let me give you a sample here. It's so easy to open up a video look at me, I'm going to type Mark Cuban now. And you watch a few minutes and you already start jumping to conclusions.
The big question, what's broken about our healthcare system?
There's no transparency. And when the lack of transparency leads to lack of trust. And when you can't trust the healthcare system other than maybe your doctor, that's a broken system. The thing we're trying to solve for is trust. And the way we feel we get there is through complete transparency. So when you go to costplusdrugs.com and you put in the name of the medication, if it's one of the 2,500 and growing that we carry, we will first show you our costs, what we actually pay for it. Then we'll show you our 15% markup. Then we'll show the pharmacy fill fee and shipping, and that's your total price. And that alone, that transparency alone is completely revolutionizing how drugs are priced in America today. And so just that transparency alone has had an impact and saved millions of people hundreds of millions of dollars or more.
Yeah, the guy made his own drug company. Why? What are the triggers behind that? I don't know. This is well thought out. It's been in his back pocket for several years. I can't take this clip and make a claim on Cuban's type. I don't have enough information. You know what I mean? So what I do when typing, and especially with Cuban here, is I'm ignoring 95% of what the person is saying because everyone can do everything. But where are you spiking? Where are you causing problems? And where does your life differ? All right, so let's look at Mark's life pile here. Is he an introvert or is he an extrovert? An introvert is defined as someone who has consume and sleep in the top 3 of their animal stack, which means that they're going to be gathering, not ready, processing, and preserving energy all alone. Whereas an extrovert is defined as someone who has blast and play in the top 3 of their animal stack, which means that they'll be producing, getting started, expending tons of energy, and processing later. So, which story best fits Mark?
However it started, I don't know. From the time I was 9, 10 years old, I was hustling. I was one of those kids that was always selling something. Yeah. Like I was selling baseball cards, right?
Really?
I would go buy baseball cards, and then I'd flip them, right? Get as many, get good at flipping, package them. Then I'd go down to the park where we would play pickup or whatever. There would be this bench that was there, and I would just sit there and repackage baseball cards, and I'd say, okay, there's definitely one Pittsburgh Pirate in one of these, right? You might get Roberto Clemente, you might get Willie Stargell, and I'd mark them up and make some money, and that's how I'd get spending money. And I remember one day my dad was playing poker. I was like, Dad, I need a new pair of Converse, right? And he's like, I see those, those shoes on your feet. They still work, right? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, when you have a job, you can buy whatever you want, but until then, those shoes still work. And I'm like, Dad, I can't get a job. I'm 12 years old. And one of his poker buddies speaks up and goes, yeah, I got a job for you. I'm like, what? He goes, I've got these boxes of garbage bags, and you can go sell them around the neighborhood. And I'm like, cool.
Like boxes of
garbage bags, right?
Right.
So literally, I would go to our neighbors, and I go, hi, I'm your neighbor, Mark. Do you use garbage bags?
You sound like a Shark Tank.
Yeah, right? But they didn't have a real business school back then. I decided I wanted to go to business school, saw a list of the top 10 undergraduate business schools, and Indiana was the cheapest, and got in, and had never seen the campus, didn't visit, none of that stuff, just went sight unseen, and turned out okay.
You graduated from Indiana. Mm-hmm. What was your dream job?
Well, I wanted to start my own company at some level, right? So all through Indiana, I had all kinds of side hustles because I pretty much had to pay for my own college. And so whether it was party promoting my freshman and sophomore years, to having a chain letter to pay for my junior year, to opening up a bar that was like the hot spot on campus my senior year until we got busted for letting all my friends in because I just turned 21, So I was a hustler.
Okay, this is what catches my eye, because not everyone can do this. Like, all of a sudden it goes from, yeah, sure, drug companies to, hold up, that is a lot of extrovert energy. Like, who cannot do this? Mark Zuckerberg tinkered quietly in his dorm room for years to create Facebook. Bezos spent several years in his garage analyzing before launching Amazon. And Mr. Beast, he looks crazy extroverted on camera, but he spent years studying the algorithm and videos like literally frame by frame for 16 hours a day before jumping in.
I know why my videos do well because, like I said before, I spent 10 years of my life just hyper obsessing over all this. Like, yeah. I mean, the amount of YouTube videos I watch in my life is just ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, and the amount of videos I've broken down frame by frame is in the thousands over my life.
The introverts are not ready and they need more processing time, whereas the extroverts are jumping in too quick, getting messy, knocking things over, and learning as they go. So you can put me down for not an extrovert. Again, we're looking for moments that spike your attention. Like, okay, hey, this is weird. Who cannot do this?
iPhone or Droid?
Both. I carry one of each, 2 different networks. So if my network is bad on one, I have the other, and I get to test and play with all that.
Which do you prefer more?
It just depends on the app.
Really? So you're both. So
yeah, what I like about,
you be independent is what
yeah,
you
but what I like about Android is that with Samsung has replacement batteries, so I just carry an extra battery. But on the flip side, iOS batteries seem to last longer. So there's pluses and minuses to both.
Very simple and quick. Like, oh, he has 2 different phones and he goes back and forth between them. Like, that's odd. Like, that doesn't tell me a whole lot. That doesn't tell me Mark Cuban's type, but it kind of raises the question here. Like, who would struggle with that? And if I were to make a guess, I would say lead in eye. Managing 2 different crazy sensors at once when the phones are already hard enough as is. Like, I ran into this one guy who I believe had lead in eye, and he was always freaking about the future like 20 years in advance. And he was like, I don't do new technology. I don't do phones. I don't do iPads. I got a smartwatch to track my heart rate, but then my heart rate got too high and I freaked out and I threw the watch away. And I was like, wait, hold on, what? Like, think if our buddy Kumail had to manage 2 different phones.
Now there is a nominal fee if you want to keep your current phone number.
Yeah, I thought that was a free service.
After you pay for it, it is free. So, okay, it's just a one-time fee that you pay annually.
It's not a one-time fee, but
it is one time in that you only pay one time a year.
So that is one way to type, chipping off little by little, guess who style, who is this not? But another way to type someone is when you can compare and contrast them with someone else who's in the room. When it comes to observer decider, Mark is going to appear pretty balanced. He's talking about the systems and the corporations, and he's talking about the people and the politicians. He is calmly seeing the future, and he's got beef with Donald Trump, but he's not all that bad. So how do you confidently narrow this one down? Well, Mark is here with Lex Friedman, who is an ENTP. And now Lex is going to get stuck on these systems, the corporations, the labels, and the ideologies, because he is an observer. And this reference point serves as a nice contrast. As we saw with Matthew McConaughey, Lex and Matthew were both talking about the pathways, but Lex was more exploratory and abstract, whereas Matthew was more grounded and rigid.
Because I think I can be overly practical. And I think I can overcompensate and miss out on magic.
Lex and Mark seem to get along on many topics, but what areas are they missing each other?
You've had a beef recently on Twitter, on X, with Elon over DEI programs. What to you is the essence of the disagreement there?
I wouldn't call it a beef, right? It's
a bit of fun.
Yeah, it's fun for me, right? I just, it's his platform. He gets to run it any way he pleases. He pays for that right. And so I have total respect for whatever choices he makes, even if I don't agree with them. But because it's his platform, people are less likely to disagree with him, particularly somebody who's got a platform themselves. And so when we start talking about DEI and it's just de facto racist and this stuff that I just think is nonsense, I have no problem, sharing my opinion. And if he disagrees, okay, he can disagree. I don't care, and it's fun to engage, but he doesn't really engage. He just comes back with snark comments, which is, his choice.
Yeah, you in your comments, well, you do a bit of snark too, but
yeah, a little bit.
Okay, Mark is talking about Elon here, like, it's fun, the tribe, who cares? And we see that Lex, predictably, the calm double decider in the room, just kind of throws a subtle jab in there. Like, Elon Musk, snarky, sure, hey, you too, Mark. But what you are going to see is that Lex is going to start spiking more on these systems and the ideology talk.
If you criticize a DEI program, it seems like it's very easy to be called racist. And if you're called racist or sexist, that's a sticky label.
So you're getting into the culture of organizations, right? And leadership within organizations. Try not to go one-on-one in Twitter conversations on this topic. So in the DMs, I'll talk to people who are really conservative, and I'll ask the same question. And be like, well, who's forcing you to do this? Well, it's the ideology that's everywhere. You see it. Didn't you see the Harvard thing, in University of North Carolina? I'm like, I've never had anybody try to push me in this direction to do this. This was my business choice. I'm not trying to tell other people you have to do this. You make your own business choices. And so where companies have made their business choices, and if somebody doesn't feel confident or comfortable with it, they may feel they're being discriminated against. I just don't trust the supposed volume that people say is happening at versus everything I've read and seen. And when I talk to people in positions of authority within organizations and ask them who's forcing them, to implement these ideologies, nobody says yes, that there is somebody. But on Twitter, it sounds great.
It is true for conservatives, but in general, you can sell books, you can get likes.
Yes.
When you talk about this ideology, and there's a degree to which is this woke ideology in the room with us right now? Meaning like it's this boogie monster that we're all kind of...
Or is it a positive?
What? Dang, I broke my chair. Oh well. Lex is starting to weird out and narrow in on the labels and the ideology talk. Like, hey, it's kind of like this boogie monster that's in the room with us right now. Hey, this SI term woke that's controlling us. Like, isn't that weird, Mark? And now, is Mark Cuban triggered and talking out in the same weird way that Lex is? Or is he calmly talking out these systems and the information and seeing the good and the bad easily?
It's not the end of the world, but Google is so much dependent on trust. That trust the Google search has as objective as possible channel into the world of information. And so that brand is really important for us.
So you're giving them too much power. And maybe I'm not recognizing the power, right?
Like, it's easier to catch this in the back and forth. Like, you can see the friction here. Like, I usually zone out over what Lex says, but then Mark just pushes back and he's like, hey, not that serious. Like, okay, that's a nice contrast. Like, Mark is not triggered over the brand or the corporate control in the same way that Lex is. But let's let Mark share what bothers him about the algorithms and corporate control.
The bigger problem is trying to figure out what is free speech and what is the line of tolerance for free speech. And at what point does hateful free speech crowd out other people, right? Putin's the master of that. You're going to jail or you're going to be dead if you disagree, right? No, God help us if we ever get to that point here. But the person who controls the algorithm controls the world, right? And if you are committed to one specific platform as your singular source of information or affiliated platforms, then whoever controls the algorithm or the programming there controls you in a lot of respects. And I think that's where our biggest problem has been. We get people attached to specific platforms and apps and media outlets, and they become part of that team. And they identify as such, and either you're part of the team or you're not.
Is it the systems in the corporations, or is it the person behind the corporations? What you're going to see is the deciders are still going to get triggered by the algorithms and corporate greed, but they're going to quickly sidestep the thing to pull out the person behind the thing. Whereas the observers are going to do the opposite. Like Nick Offerman is a great example.
We've gotten ourselves into a deep, deep mess of which Donald Trump is only the flag. He's only the maidenhead on the shitty vessel that is the Republican Party. And yet it maintains this stronghold over the ideology of what are largely probably really good people.
He's like, it's Trump, but Trump is just the flag, and it's the party, it's the media, it's the ideology. That's the real problem.
It's right versus left, my team versus your team, my tribe versus your tribe. Yeah. The only way to stand out is hyperbole. There's no leadership that's doing it. That's the fundamental problem. It's not about the ideology of woke. It's no leadership.
Yeah, leadership, and yeah, it's whatever systems we've created. It's really frustrating that if you don't like Trump, it really is Trump derangement syndrome. Like he's definitely Hitler. And if you don't like Biden, he's senile lizard person.
Right.
Can you see where Lex and Mark are missing each other? You have an observer and a decider, and one is calm about the people, but then they're weirded out by the labels, and the other one is calm about the systems, but then they're honing in on the leadership. Like another good example is you have Mark Cuban here with ENFP Tucker Carlson, who is also getting triggered by the labels and control. And now the topic of the conversation is, well, it's robots. So place your bets. Who is going to be calm about the robots, and who's going to be a bit weirded out?
It's about in your house. It's about walking down the streets. It's about doing those things. So if you have to get to a point, we have to get to a point for it to be impactful, where you can say to a robot, clean the house. And they'll know not to touch Jason's socks, right? And they'll know, right? The whole idea is robots use video. And they capture, and they have to be able to process that video, which means understanding the laws of physics. Which
skid marks.
Yeah. Wait, would you let a robot with a video camera in your house? Honestly.
Yes. Right? And beyond that, right?
You're a very self-confident man, aren't you?
Right. Houses are going to be redesigned, because right now, when we design houses and we design robots, we design them to work for us.
Yeah.
So I can't catch Mark on a huge decider freakout, but when you have some good comparisons, Mark seems pretty calm next to these crazy observers. So that is going to make Mark a decidery decider. Okay, so Mark's other functions seem to be pretty balanced as well. So, since he's in business, I'm trying to pick out what is Mark's extroverted language here? Like, what is the spectrum that he's looking at? Is he INT, looking at the spectrum of technologies and possibilities? Or maybe he's SF, looking at popularity and comparisons across the tribe, like Gary Vee. Or maybe he's NF, looking at religion and morality all over the place, like Jordan Peterson and every other ENTP. Or maybe he's ST, the monkey functions, like looking at the statistics and the spectrum of tools in the sensor. So, vibe-wise, Mark Cuban plays the role of the cool billionaire. Like, he's not this nerdy tech entrepreneur working in the corner, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's opening bars, he's partying all the time, he's buying basketball teams, he's fined outrageously for yelling fits. So, looking at Mark's observer access, what is his extroverted world? What is the spectrum that he's looking at?
But when I was younger, before I got married, it was like, let's go, 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 right? Travel, party. Let's see who can throw the biggest parties, right? Who can buy the biggest bottle of champagne, just rent a club, who can run up the biggest bill, right? Yeah, I was doing that shit.
Yeah.
Mark seems to be doing the SE cool thing. Like, hey, let's compare the sensor here. Who can make it bigger? Who can make it better? It's much like Donald Trump playing the SE size comparison game.
What a big room this is. I walked in here, I said, wow, what a big room.
And it reminds me of Arnold and Sly competing on who has the bigger and better sensor.
I think the Rainbow movies were fantastic. It was really true action movies. And this is the kind of things that we were kind of competitive with.
Right.
Because, Sly was all of a sudden, he had a gun in Rambo.
Right.
He had a gun that was normally only mounted on helicopters. It was this, so people were saying, how the hell does he hold this machine gun in a hand when it's so heavy? So of course, I did Predator. I had to even have a bigger gun that is mounted on tanks and ships and stuff like that. So we were kind of trying to outdo each other with who had the biggest guns and the biggest knives and who kills more people, who sells more tickets at the box office, who has less body fat and who has more muscles. And then we were competing about everything.
The extroverted functions are expanding and less personal, whereas the introverted functions are stacking and more personal. For comparison, SI, introverted sensing, is going to have a narrower scope of personal sensory, and they tend to be more attracted to history, the finer details of things. Whereas extroverted intuition, INI, is going to be expanding on the concepts and all the different possibilities. Hey, let's not narrow down just yet. See Jordan Peterson. But introverted intuition, NI, is going to be narrowing in on the concepts. They're going to be concluding on the future, and they're going to be stacking the reoccurring patterns in life. So, taking a look at Mark Cuban here, what is his internal world?
I can't ever claim to say, look, if I wanted to do this again, I could do it again, because that's craziness. One of the biggest mistakes you can make in this business is to think you're smart, because everybody's a genius in a bull market. But at the same time, I think what was really particularly interesting about this is it was history repeating itself over and over again, and that's what gave us the template for broadcast.com from a business perspective.
What does that mean?
In other words, if you look at the start of the PC industry, when you had IBM and Compaq and old companies like Columbia and Eagle, there was just this big explosion, both in the startup of companies and in the stock market. If you look at the software business, back when Microsoft was getting going in Ashton Tate and Lotus, big explosion, then it came back down to earth. You know, networking business. So we knew when we got into this, there was going to be a big explosion of some sort. We just wanted to ride the wave, and we thought we had a good business model to make it all happen, and we also knew we had to get out.
Now, is this because Ted was that smart, or because you both arrived at that decision, or because Goldman Sachs, because Goldman Sachs said this is the way to go?
No, Todd and I both said we need to protect ourselves. You know, before broadcast.com, all I did was trade stocks.
Right.
And so I knew that there was just no way this thing was going to stick around forever. I would go around giving speeches saying 99% of the .com companies were going to go out of business.
Which is about true.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I gave a thing for one of the internet conferences where they gave me a list of companies. And Priceline, this is when Priceline was 100-something, and they said, Priceline, what do you think? I said, gone. You know, because unless there's certain things that repeat themselves, and, you know, there's just no way all these companies are going to stay at these valuations.
Mark is calmly seeing the reoccurring patterns happening over and over again, which is why he spent most of his career predicting the next big thing, you know, narrowing down the future. And what you'll also catch in this clip, if you noticed, is that he is just calmly double observing. He has all the information here. Like, hey, this is where the future's going, let's jump in. Oh wait, but here's what's coming around the corner, and let's not knock anything over, and let's get out. Like, maybe that's why all the sharks are deciders, because the control and chaos is easy, so they just calmly make it to the top, and then they all get stuck disagreeing and judging each other.
Okay, Kevin, let's talk about the risk. Let's talk about the risk profile.
That's the truth.
Kevin, you're an idiot.
Somebody
okay,
has to tell the truth. Thank goodness I'm here, Mark. Thank goodness.
So, Kevin.
But back to Mark, it seems like he is on the SE-NI axis. So is he looking at the sensor spectrum of the tools and how to make the thing work and tips like his buddy Kevin? Or is he looking at popularity and this sensor spectrum of what the tribe likes?
When I got to the NBA, when I bought the Dallas Mavericks, everybody thought we sold basketball. Very few people go to basketball games to watch basketball. Think about the last sporting event you went to. Do you remember a jump shot? Do you remember a dunk? Do you even remember the score? Maybe you remember who we played, but you remember who you were with. It's an experience. You remember how you felt. When that ball's in the air and it's a tie game, if it goes through the hoop, you win, and if it doesn't, you lose. Everybody collectively, 20,000 people are holding their breath. And when it goes through the hoop, you're high-fiving and hugging and squeezing so tight people you've never seen before in your life. You're walking out of the arena screaming and yelling. And if you lose, you do the exact opposite. Apple, one of the biggest companies in the world, they can have their best quarter, their best year ever. No one's throwing a parade in Cupertino. The Dallas Mavericks win a championship. Dallas is on fire. Everybody's having an amazing time. The whole city feels the energy. You feel that energy when you walk into the arena. That's what I convinced the NBA that we sell. And that literally changed how sports were sold.
Now, this is one I didn't have to look too hard for. Like, Mark Cuban is tracking the vibe and the tribe energy, much like Travis Kelce paying attention to what's electric.
I was blown away. It was an electric crowd, too. I never miss a high five, too. Big high five guy. It's the most electric thing you can do at an event. The show was even more electric, knowing that I had a little bit more to enjoy for. Taylor was on record saying that it was one of her favorite places to play. So hats off to you guys for showing the love.
Like, yeah, I've been to concerts and games before. Like, did I like them? Yeah, sure. The energy in the room, it was good, I think, I guess, maybe. Like, but I especially don't know what everyone else liked. Like, did they value it? Did they like it? Is everyone else having a great time? I mean, I assume that's the reason why they're there, so probably.
Before I go to bed, I put on a pair of gym shorts and a tank top, and that's what I'm wearing when I get up in the morning until I shower and it's time to change. Then I get really dressed up. I put on a pair of sweatpants. Now, if it's an important day, I'll put on a blue Maps shirt. If it's not as important a day, maybe I'll put on like a green Maps color t-shirt. It really just depends on who I'm seeing and how important they are. I got to take my bright and shiny and smiling 15-year-old daughter and drop her off at school. She's cool. She likes to listen to hip hop music. And so she knows I'm cool with listening to hip hop and like hip hop. But she doesn't quite like it when I say, look, if you're going to like hip hop, you have to own it, because I'll roll down the windows. And if there's a good song, I'll just crank it up. And she like buries her head. And this is going to sound really weird, but one day I'm online and I'm looking through my mentions and they're just blowing up. And it turns out it's a song. And the song is called Mark Cuban. And the way the song goes is, Mark Cuban, always win, never lose. Mark Cuban, I'm a shark, who are you? So being the dad that I am, in the mornings, I gotta just jam it out so I drive my kids crazy.
Yeah, Mark can talk about technology and how to make the thing work, but over and over again, he is tracking what is valuable, especially across the tribe. Like important, not important, hey, let me make sure to pick the right SF shirt for the occasion, I need to match the vibe. And my daughter, she likes and she knows that I like, but she doesn't like. Like Mark is tracking the tribe spectrum of values. But is this in a savior state or is it in a demon state? Like, how do we know he's not just some extroverted ISTP bro? You know, like Arthur Brooks and his happiness scheme.
Can you speak a little bit about the concept of portfolio careers? I look at everything you've done.
Portfolio careers?
Yeah, because you're in media and you're in sports and you're working with entrepreneurs and you've done so many different things. And I feel like I'm doing too much. And then I look at you, I'm like, okay, maybe it's possible to do a lot of very disparate things.
I just have one overriding principle. Do I like it? Am I having fun? Look, I'm the luckiest guy in the world. If I can't have fun at every single thing that I do, something's wrong with me, right? I mean, I get to do what I like. I get to be up here. I get to, if I want to go get shit-faced, there's nobody going to tell me no.
I just do what I like, bro, whatever I find valuable. Again, this raises another spike on the dashboard. Like, who is not doing this? Oh, well, I can name one. It would be Mr. Cal, passion sucks, get good at something first and like it later, Newport. You know, that guy, the guy who's like, hey, just build skill sets. You're overvaluing this whole passion thing. Get good at something, and then once you're good at it, then you'll like it. You'll develop a love for it when you actually have the skills.
And so I started tracking down the backstories of famous people who had famously said, follow your passion. 9 times out of 10, it's not what they did, right? They stumbled into whatever they ended up doing and it transformed into a passion. So all this evidence came together. And I said, this is nonsense. Passion is great. You don't start with it.
Like, there is a lot of validity to what Cal Newport says. Like, hey, don't overthink the happiness or the passion thing. Like, get good at something first. And I've seen that work well in others' lives, and it's worked well in my own life. But at the same time, being lead FI, I kind of have to lead with the passion.
So from the suffering perspective, I find that really interesting because passion comes from the Latin passio, right?
Yes.
Which means suffering or to endure.
Yeah, I know.
And so that made actually a tremendous amount of sense for me. And so I actually reframed that whole concept as like, find a goal worth suffering for.
It's like, I know what my passion is there. You can feel my passion. I want to tell everybody about it. It's like, I don't give a shit about making money in it. It's like, and of course I make money too. It's like, it's unbelievable. But I'm going to crush something. It's going to feel so good. I'm going to feel so much joy. I'm going to do X for this many young men. And it's going to be part of who I am and my legacy and what I'm going to live and what I'm going to enjoy, not someday along the way.
But Mark is making his decisions based on values and fun, not on logic and this is what works for me. Like, a good comparison is John Paul DeJoria, who is an ENFJ, and he does something similar.
Well, the home thing came about where I bought a house that was great, and then I moved someplace else and I bought a place there. But each time I bought a place, the people that would take care of it were so nice that I didn't want to get rid of them. And I was doing really well, so I thought, well, in my own mind was, I would just keep the money in real estate and it would grow and it'd be like a future profit thing for me. And if I get something else, I'd like the people again. I didn't want to get rid of them. And then twice I bought a house because it was such a good deal. But the people take care of it was so nice. And I knew it would only grow. It drove me nuts, okay? Like right now,
really?
I was like, why am I doing this? I mean, that's where, am I out of my mind? But I realized, no. I love these people, I could afford it, and the land appreciates anyways, the house appreciates, so I'm just gonna do this longer.
Put me down for F above T. Making decisions based on value. Making decisions based on emotional reasons. Like, hey, it's not logical to buy all these houses and then keep them because the people that are taking care of them become your friends. He's like, yeah, I know. It's not logical. And I wouldn't recommend doing it at scale. And you're probably going to you're going to lose money if you do that. Anyways, I just wanted to.
As well, there's something that kept catching my attention with Mark here. And it came from a lot of his comments about Donald Trump.
At the beginning, he was a business person, and I wanted to see a change from the traditional politician. But then he went and opened his mouth. You know? I mean, he had a really good chance to be different and really have a chance to change things, but he doesn't do the work. He's lazy.
He doesn't do the work. He's lazy. Like, I've heard a lot of Trump slams, but this one feels different.
You can't look at anything that Donald Trump has done in the first 31 days and said, I may disagree, but it's really well thought out and really reasoned. You're laughing. That's how sad it is.
It's not thought out and reasoned. He's not an intellectual. Like, Mark consistently makes jabs at Trump's intelligence. Why? Like, okay, I don't really know this type that well, but if I were to phone a friend, I would take a look at Shan's live class over Lead FE, which you can find over on the members website at www.objectivepersonality.com. Okay, got that out of the way. If you are lead FE, you'll have the introverted thinking, the TI, at the bottom, and that will be the trigger and the insecurity. And the self-fulfilling fears for this type, as described in the live show, is not being seen as useful, feeling dumb and like a fraud, incompetent. Mark is making a personal attack on Trump's intelligence because that is what would be most offensive and jarring to Mark. Whereas Trump is just some sleep-last ESTP who's just sloppily climbing all the way to the top, and he's ignoring all this information, he's not downloading anything, and then whenever he does need something, he's just pinging off the tribe like, hey, do you have the information? Do you have the information? And then he keeps going.
And he's like, Mark? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, what do you think about the stock market? Oh, hi, Donald. What do you think about the stock market?
So basically all that to say is that is going to make Mark lead FE. All right, so let's fill in the rest of the observer axis. So what you're going to see with Mark is that he's going to have his personal TI. This is the one way that works for me and I'm sticking with it. Kind of like with Michael Saylor and Bitcoin. Like, hey, this is the one system, this one's the best and I'm not changing it.
Which one's the best crypto asset? Well, Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Okay, what's the second best? There is no second best. There is no second best crypto asset. There's a crypto asset, it's called Bitcoin, right?
But is he going to be narrowing down and controlling, or is he going to be looking for new opportunities and expanding?
Your brain, if I were to take 100%, okay, 10% here, 7% here, 6% here, how do you process all of it here in your mind with the different responsibilities?
That happens to be something that I'm really good at, right? You know, I process things very quickly, and that's always been my strength. I can identify what's going on typically faster than anybody and grind right through it. And plus, you know, I because I force everybody to email or cyberdust, it's all coming from one flow, right? It's all one funnel. And so I'm not bouncing from meeting to meeting thinking, okay, what did we say in that meeting? We're having to take notes, and then we're having somebody take notes. You know, it's like, it's already in writing, it's in an email, and if it's in cyberdust, it's like having a face-to-face. And when I see it, I respond to it immediately. And so that allows me to keep things organized and stay on top of things. And, you know, anything that's unread, that's my to-do list, and that's how I stay on top of it.
Am I going to meetings? No. Am I taking phone calls? No. Am I going to some office somewhere? No. When I was working my way up, I always had to work to somebody else's schedule. When I finally sold my companies and had enough money to stand on my own, prior to getting an iWatch, first thing I did was get rid of a watch. I didn't wear a watch for 30 years because I didn't want to be on anybody else's time. And now, finally, because people pretty much kiss my ass when it comes to business, I can tell them I'm doing everything via email. Period, end of story. And because of that, I can get everything done by sitting on a laptop or a phone anywhere in the world, and that works out really, really, really well.
And how much time do you spend online, you think, a day?
Well, those two overlap, but probably a good 4 or 5 hours.
And how much time on email?
Probably 2 hours a day, because I spend no time on the phone. I won't even answer my phone. Is that right? Because email gives me a record of everything and becomes my tickler file. So if Victoria sends me an email, I know that if it's in my undone file.
Victoria meaning my producer?
Your producer, right. Then if it's in my undone file, then it's my tickler file. And then I have emails going back to 1989. I can do a search and find out things I said, people I talked to, questions I had, and, you know, compare notes.
Yes, Mark Cuban is going to be looking for opportunities and climbing businesses. He is going to have the OE in the middle. But ultimately, he's sticking to the same structure for 20 years. Email only? Hey, Mr. Technology and always adapting. Email only? No exceptions? What gives? And you're just going to force everyone to follow the one way that works for you? Got it. Also, in hindsight, is Mark SF talking or is he NF talking? Like, what is he selling? I've watched him for 14 hours. What products is he pitching continuously? I mean, he's pitched HDTV, powdered milk, basketball, I guess. But other than that, I don't really know. Like, I don't know what he's been selling. Whereas a good comparison is John Paul DeJoria, who we know to be SF. So, what's JDP? John Paul DeJoria? JPB? John Paul... Whatever the heck. What is John Paul selling?
The only way to do is get in the field with them and show them how to do it.
What was your pitch?
Can you put that on hold for 1 second? I'm going to grab a bottle, okay? So I said, I'll tell you about something brand new. One, I'd hold it like a gem, not like this, okay? I hold it like a gem. This is Shampoo One that we've developed. Shampoo One is for normal to color treated or fine hair. What's unique about this shampoo, you only need one shampoo, not two. That saves you time and money. We test all these products on ourselves, not on animals. This is shampoo 2. Shampoo 2 is for normal to greasy hair, oily hair, or really, really thick hair. Once again, you only need 1 shampoo, not 2. Saves you time and money. This is the most unique thing we have. It's called the conditioner. Let me show you how it works. Then I would put a size of a dime on my hand. I say, can I have your hand, please? I put a size of a dime in their hand. Now, you've got the size of a dime in your hand, right? But you don't know what to do with it. Okay, here, I want you to tell you about the conditioner. This is very unique. Now, I've got your attention because it's in your hand. You know what to do with it.
Oh, Mark Cuban isn't selling the SF, but the NF. Is Mark Cuban selling basketball? Like, hey, it's the seats, it's the food, it's the players, it's the arena. Or is he selling the vibe of basketball? It's the energy.
Everybody's having an amazing time. The whole city feels the energy. You feel that energy when you walk into the arena. That's what I convinced the NBA that we sell. And that literally changed how sports were sold.
Oh, got it. Then, if we're rounding out with the animals, OI and DE means that Mark is blast first, which means that he's going to be producing, getting started, controlling the tribe, and giving way too many lessons. And I think you're going to see this throughout his entire life in all of these interviews. But what you're also going to catch with the blasters is that they are demon consume. And especially with those who have consumed last, they tend to be a bit weird about food.
Rule number 5, when it comes to food, if you like one thing, and you like another thing, and then you combine them, it will be, by definition, the best thing you've ever tasted. If you have never taken a French fry and dipped it in your milkshake, you have never experienced life. You are missing out. If you haven't taken mayonnaise and put it on a cracker by itself, I'm getting hungry just thinking about it. If you haven't taken ice cream and put anything on it, there is nothing in the entire world, I don't care what it is, that doesn't go with ice cream. You can thank me later.
You can't say that. Anyways, is Mark going to be play or sleep? Is he too available for the tribe, or is he going to be preserving energy and blocking himself off? I mean, come on, we're already seeing that he's got his email system that blocks himself from the tribe.
For me, in terms of setting an example, I try to be accessible as quickly as possible. When somebody wants to send me an email, I'm going to respond as quickly as possible if they work for me. And, you know, if it's 2 a.m. and I'm getting up to take a pee because I'm 66 years old and I got to pee in the morning, then, you know, I'm checking my email and I'm responding and they're thinking I'm working at 2 a.m. And so I try to be as responsive as possible to everybody. And when you do that, I think people will respect that and respond accordingly.
And blast play is Mark's lifestyle. Like, hey, jump in head first and never slow down. But ultimately, Mark is going to be consume last and not sleep last, because Mark is energy dom. He is going to be balancing out the sleep and the play, and he's not going to be so serious about the back and forth of information.
What do you want to do with your life? Have fun.
You know, the most valuable thing that we own, I don't care what you can buy, but the most valuable thing we own is that time. It just slips away every single minute of every day. And I just don't ever want to look back and say, boy, I woulda, coulda, shoulda.
I get 700 emails a day. Now, you may think that's a lot, but you know what I'd rather do? I'd rather do 700, even 1,000 or more emails than sit in long and tedious and boring meetings.
Fun. That's what life's all about, and screw the meetings. Mark Cuban is a double masculine standard ENFJ, blast, play, sleep, consume last. And even though he's got the calibrated NI beaming into the future, he's also got the masculine sensory, and you're going to see that with a lot of his solid date recalls. And I'm not always great at seeing if someone is shoving on the tribe or not, but Mark's got a bit of a punch to him.
And that was before we knew we wanted to commit our careers to it.
So, so you guys put it on. You guys see what you were doing. I gotta roll up my pant legs and.
Before we really dialed in that positioning statement and figured out that was the winning combo.
You're driving me nuts.
You tell me, what do you think you need from the rest of the line here?
Are you serious? Are you really that clueless?
No, I'm
Seriously, are you really that clueless?
I haven't heard you speak up, Mark.
I'm listening, right? Let's go.
Here comes the lift.
Oh my, careful.
And is there really a question on Mark's social? Like, this is just scam and all the way to the top energy. Like, what other social type gets you to being a shark?
Yeah, I wasn't real empathetic at all when I was first getting started. It was just like, go. If you're in my way, get the fuck out of my way.
You know, I've got all these young people here and I'm going to kick their ass. That's fun to me. And that's, you know, that's always going to drive me. That'll never end. I golfed one time in my life in 1989. And I was the guy who, you know, was ready to break his clubs over his knees and throw his clubs and all that shit because I'm so competitive and I sucked. You know, my fit, I wasn't the ABC guy.
I was somebody looking for DEFGHIK, I had to realize that I was not going to be a good employee no matter where I worked. I was going to be a lousy employee because I was more concerned about where I was going next and what I was going to learn and think of next. And that just didn't fit.
Like, he's just had an insane drive to get to the top from an early age, and he's still going. Like, he's even considered running for president. So, like, I would say this is what a number one looks like. I'd say this is a pretty good example. And I'd also say that this is probably why it's harder to hear the classic EJ story. Like, Mark seems like he has a solid DI on him. Like, he knows his way, he knows his path, he knows what he wants. But at the same time, what you're also going to see is that he is hearing so much from the tribe and he knows so much of what is valuable to everyone else. So I would say that is one coin that's going to be really hard to catch. But I'm going to leave you with one last lesson.
Be someone who reduces the stress of people around you. It's always the people who think they're irreplaceable who cause the most stress for everybody because they create this hurricane of hellishness, right? Reduce the stress of people around you. Be honest with yourself about whether you're a stress creator or a stress reducer, because in my experiences, I'll always fire someone who creates stress, and I'll always look to keep people and give raises to people who reduce stress.
Like, I love when Ops has the same calibrated NI as all this other growth content. And of course, it's just the hero's journey patterns repeating themselves over and over again. But like, my favorite Ops terms have been giver and taker, and drama amplifier and drama distiller. And like, these have helped me so much in my personal life, just to like prune the tribe. Like, it helps me to see like who is worth investing into and keeping as a part of my life, who isn't going to destroy my values over the long run. Like, whether this is at work or with family or in the Facebook groups, it's a simple question, but I know the answer right away. Are you a drama amplifier or are you a drama distiller? Are you a stress creator or are you a stress reducer? So there's your healthy reminder to reevaluate yourself and other people in your life through that lens. But anyway, that was Mark Cuban. I hope that you enjoyed. If you did, let me know. As well, let me know who you'd like to see next. Until then, talk to you later. Catch you next time. Bye.